They say Virginia is for lovers. Clearly, they has never seen a race under the lights at Richmond International Raceway. I don't think we'll see any canoodling out there tonight. Welcome to NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown from a place the drivers love just as much as the fans. There is a reason this track is referred to as the ultimate short track. And from inside the ESPN pit studio, I did say canoodling.
Very well, I might add.
What the heck is canoodling?
You need to read more tabloids. Come on, where have you been? Hi, by the way. Good evening. I am Nicola Briscoe. Alongside Dale Jarrett, someone I need to provide with a dictionary of least sorts, Mr. Brad Doherty, and the gentleman on the end, Marty Smith. It has been a very busy day here at Richmond. It started this morning with final practice for the Nationwide Series, 2.5 hours of track time, then qualifying this afternoon, led by a guy who happens to do a pretty good job at this track. You may have heard of him before, Kevin Harvick. He's won here 5 different times. Tonight he will start P1. Then, of course, arguably the biggest name in the field, Danica Patrick. How many people do you know who can get by going by just one name? Not many. Danica Patrick will start 16th, but tonight she's got some competition, at least in terms of name recognition, because of that guy. Travis Pastrana, the 11-time X Games gold medalist, is finally, some 9 months after initially expected, making his Nationwide Series debut.
That's pretty much been my whole life, just chasing fun, chasing excitement, chasing the competition. X Games is the one event a year that my grandma watched. I had some of my biggest successes as well as my biggest failures, and they were all broadcast live. I think that's where a lot of people started, kind of following me through that was with X Games and, being someone that was going to put on a show.
Oh, wow, Travis Pastrana.
X Games made my career, and I got a lot of flack for leaving racing to go to these extreme sports. Then the extreme sports became bigger than racing. The double backflip was something that really scared my family. It's one of those things where the energy in that stadium, it just felt right.
The world is watching. Everybody in this house is now standing up and cheering on the 199.
And dropped in, scared the absolute crap out of myself, and said, all right, you're going along for the ride either way. You better make it good. Pulled really hard. In those 2 seconds of airtime, or 3 seconds, it felt like 30. Time stopped.
Oh!
That's a feeling you don't have very often without imminent death. So to have that and then have such a great feeling afterwards was by far the best experience of my life.
I'm sorry, Mom.
The X Games is the one event a year they know I'll kind of, if it's a questionable matter, I'll throw caution a little bit further to the wind and say it's worth it. And it has been, until this last year.
Here we go.
Travis Pastrana.
That stupid 720, I've been trying it for 4 years. 4 years.
Go back for more.
I wanted to land that trick.
It's like I learned nothing in 2 years. Absolutely nothing.
Felt all the bones pushing against the boot, pants, foot. There goes the NASCAR career. My ankle, it still hurts. It's a year. I can't walk very well. I definitely can't ride a dirt bike anytime soon. But you know what? I can drive just fine. I wouldn't sign a contract that said I couldn't have fun, I couldn't do this and that. But you know what? Out of respect to the team, out of respect to the guys that basically stopped getting a paycheck the moment I crashed last year, I said I owe it not only to myself and not only to my fans, but I owe it to these guys.
So this is the shed and all my bikes that I can't use anymore. This used to be an office that I can't play with anymore. And that's my number. Yeah, I can't use that anymore either.
For the time being, it's not a sacrifice to not do this other fun stuff. As a matter of fact, it's what I want to do. I want to be competitive in NASCAR. My intentions have never, ever in my life been questioned more than they have when I said I was going to NASCAR. Dude, if you could sit in an 850 horsepower car at 200 miles an hour and you have an opportunity to race the best in the world and you're telling me, you go, nah, I'd rather do this. Like, I'm already good at this, guys, and I might not do well at that. So I don't want to be laughed at. I'm going to stay over here. Come on. Go a pair of balls. NASCAR's going to be awesome.
I love it. I love his honesty. I love it. And who are we kidding? The guy is a legend. He is a rock star in the two-wheel arena. He's the guy that some of the guys here want to be. However, that talent that he has over there, does it translate over here in NASCAR? Does it correlate?
Well, I mean, what an incredible person and career that he's had. What's going to translate here? He's a competitor first and foremost. That's going to benefit him as he tries to make his way into this nationwide series and get some experience here. It's going to take some time. This is hard. We've seen champions from other forms of motorsports come in here and not be successful at it, have a difficult time. So he's got a long road ahead of him, but he's just looking for 250 laps tonight. But first and foremost, he's a great athlete and competitor.
The answer to me is no. I mean, if he was going to come in,
no, it doesn't correlate.
It doesn't correlate. If he wants to come in and just have fun, that's one thing. But I heard him say he wants to be competitive. He would be much better served by racing full-time in the K&N Series, getting some serious seat time, and developing the skills to drive these race cars. I talked to a lot of pro athletes that think they can drive one of these race cars. Let me tell you something, they can't.
I agree with you, Brad. I don't think it's going to translate either. And the thing I find most interesting about what's going on with Travis, let's rewind back to last summer when he was supposed to debut. We saw the accident he had during the X Games that derailed his debut until now. That was a reality check for him. Reality smacked him in the face at that moment. This is big-time money, big boy pants racing. People expect you to be there, be fit, and be accountable. And at that moment, when he had to look at his crew and tell them he couldn't debut, that really hit him.
Well, our Jamie Little has covered Pastrana throughout his entire X Games career, through the good times, the bad times, and the broken bones. Did you see that just a second ago? 60-plus broken bones.
Like
so how is he
Powers
feeling minutes from kicking off this next chapter?
I've witnessed many of those broken bones in person, but Travis, Supercross championships, motocross championships, X Games gold, you even jumped out of a plane without a parachute. Not much makes you nervous, but I've heard you use that word here a couple times. What are you most nervous about tonight in your debut?
You know, it's hard to say what I'm most nervous about, but just really excited to get out here. And it's been so long in the waiting that, you know, we have all the fans and everything. That's kind of why we have the mullet going right now. It's like, look, just look like a goofball. Don't worry about it. Have fun, and whatever it is, it is. So it's I think we got a good car. The RAB guys are awesome, and everyone that's got with Michael Waltrip and the Bechtels and everybody that's got me here, all the sponsors stuck with me. I'm just teared up, man. It's awesome.
Mullet blowing in the wind. Travis Pastrana, one of the most famous action sports athletes in the world. Tonight, he adds NASCAR driver to that lineup. Nicole?
You got to appreciate the emotion there, and you got to love it.
It's fantastic. And I know these two guys disagree with me. I'm not against what he's trying to do here. I think it will take him some time, but I'm going to throw two names at you that if you would have waited on them to be successful in the nationwide series, they might not be Cup champions. That's Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. Their careers weren't stellar in the nationwide series, but they got themselves acclimated there and then moved quickly to the Cup Series. I think he can do the same thing.
They were on four wheels for a long time.
That's right. And I hope he's successful. We all want him to be successful. But I'm telling you, he's driving these race cars is one of the most difficult things on the face of the planet.
Agreed, but in case you didn't hear Marty say it, he has done rally. So he does have the four-wheel. So as you can see, Travis Pastrana is kind of a big deal tonight. But so is what you're about to see. The bumper covers of 6 cars, including that of points leader Elliott Sadler. Now, earlier this weekend, NASCAR confiscated the parts, and if you're looking at precedent, suspensions and loss of points, not out of the realm of possibility. So what will that do to this very tight championship? We'll talk about that coming up next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote.
Yeah, you're right. It's still spring. But there's already a duel brewing between the kid looking for his second title and the vet looking for a second chance. So enough with the "it's a long season" lectures. They're not listening. They're racing and winning.
Those two guys spent the bulk of last season neck and neck. It may be a new season, but I'll tell you what, nothing has changed. Sadler wins a race, Stenhouse answers back with a win of his own, and so it goes. 2 wins apiece for each of them. They look pretty happy right now, though, even though they're standing next to each other. They are separated by just 4 points in the standing. But this weekend, and it could affect the points, a developing story involving Sadler. In fact, this story involves all 3 Richard Childress Racing cars and the 3 cars belonging to Turner Motorsports. During Thursday inspection, NASCAR confiscated the front bumper covers for those cars. They've been replaced since then, but that is not the end. More on that in a second. But first, our championship crew chief, Andy Petrie, joins us now. What's the problem? Why was this a no-no?
Yeah, Nicole, they did. NASCAR did discover these noses in pre-race inspection when they were inspecting these cars going through templates. Now, these noses had been modified in a creative way in an area that is very critical to performance. You can see right here, this is one of the noses that was confiscated by NASCAR. This is the area that they were working on. That is very critical to making that downforce on the front end. They say, NASCAR says, this character line that you see right here has to maintain the integrity of that character line. You cannot mess with that part of this nose. You can install it and you can do a little bit of body filling to make it blend with the rest of the car, but you cannot change the shape of that. You see, this is Elliott Sadler's car on the left front. You can see how prominent that line is right there. It was not like that on the noses that were confiscated, so NASCAR is saying that this is something with this new car you can't mess with. This is a gold surface, and you can't mess with that. Even if it fits a template, that's not what they're going to allow. So they took all 6 of these off, made them all change these noses, and they've replaced them now, and you can see they're ready to go.
Andy, thank you. Did you notice what he said? He said modified in a, quote, creative way. That's like crew chief PC speak right there. Yeah, I see what you're doing there, buddy.
Illegal.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Let's talk fallout, because there is a precedent that's been set in this exact same situation in the Cup Series. See posts, Daytona 48 car, ring a bell to anyone, and the precedent is they suspended the crew chief, they docked the driver 25 points. So was eventually overturned. However, precedent was set.
Elliott Sadler, Nicole, says they're perplexed by this. He said this is the exact same nose configuration they used when they won the 2 races that he went to victory lane this year. So, and they also received their sticker in inspection. They thought it was legal. NASCAR came and told them to remove them. But I spoke with series director Joe Balish today, and he told me this is an egregious attempt to gain an aerodynamic advantage as far as NASCAR is concerned.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is going to play out over several weeks. I was on the Rules and Competition Committee for NASCAR for several years, and the one thing we always try to do, especially when it came to the Nationwide Series, was not as much the monetary side of things. We lessened those penalties, but the points penalties were wide open field. And I think this is going to be interesting to see how many points they dock, in particular Elliott Sadler, who's running for a championship, who only lost the championship last year by 45 points. Right. This could be devastating to his championship run.
Yeah, but I think, as you said, it's going to be a long process because there's going to be appeals. Yeah, just as we saw with that 48. That's what's going to happen. And this is an area, once again, it fit the templates. It just didn't look right, and it wasn't right because you're not supposed to touch that. But what will happen throughout all of this, we will see.
I did find it interesting that you said that when you were on the appeals board, you tended to lessen the monetary fine, because this is the Nationwide Series. This isn't the Sprint Cup Series. This is not just where the drivers are developed. This is where the crews are developed as well. So how does that play out?
Well, I tell you, NASCAR is not happy with this situation. They're very, very upset, and I think we're going to see a large fine, and I think we're going to see large penalties. I think a new precedent will be set come Tuesday, in my opinion, because they're not really happy with this.
So it's the points leader thinking about all of this. Let's talk to him. Dave Burns, what do you got?
Yep, I'm going to stay. You know, we've been working this out because they've been chit-chatting together. We've been trying to find the other interviewer, which would be Vince, who we'll get with next with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Elliott, they had to make some physical changes to your race car. How will that affect your race tonight?
I don't think it's going to affect it at all. I mean, our cars are really fast after the changes that we made. And, you know, Harvick's on the pole and Austin's third and we're seventh. So that's pretty good for a team effort to get all our cars back, you know, like we needed to. So we should be fine tonight. The One Main Financial car was good on long runs today. And that's what you're going to have forward bite the longer you run, and hopefully we'll have it.
How concerned are you that what could happen next, possibility of fines and suspensions and that sort of thing, could affect the great start to your year?
Well, we definitely have had a great start, and really I can't worry about that. I believe in my race team, and you know, we made it through the templates fine, and I've run this car twice this year already, and it's been inspected and post-race inspection, everything, and it's been fine. So I understand, and we're doing everything as NASCAR is asking us to do with the front noses. We're even making preparations and stuff at Talladega too, but I can't worry about that. We got to go out here and try to run as good as we can tonight and just let nature take its course, and we'll see where that takes us.
All right, best of luck tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Elliott starts 7th tonight. The driver who starts 6th is the 6th car, and he is with Vince Welch.
And both Elliott and this man, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., have each won twice this season. Figure to go down to the end for the championship battle again this season. If you're to get win number 3 tonight, the 6th car has got to be good where?
Driving up off. I think a lot of people get really loose up off here. And, you know, to beat him, I think we need to have rear grip up off. That seems like what we fought during practice and we focused on. So I think our Cargill Beef Mustang is going to be pretty decent. Just got to thank Nationwide Insurance for all that they do for our series. Got some NOS, ate some steak earlier. So I think we got everything put together like we need it.
All the pieces in place, and it's a red car this weekend, Nicole, so keep an eye on that red number 6.
You wanted to know the definition of canoodling, Brad?
Yeah,
Those two are like bromance canoodling tonight.
That's scary. That's just scary.
Their numbers at this track are very similar, at least in the last 4 starts for them here, respectively. But if there is a points penalty given to Sadler and Austin Dillon, who, by the way, is 3rd in points, that is kind of a big gift to Stenhouse. Whether he's fine, he's 4 points out of the lead, but still.
Yeah, but they're going to race just like this, nothing else. These drivers can't race any harder than what they anticipated coming here before that, and they'll continue on. They're going to race to win and see what shakes out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Austin Dillon, if it does happen, it'll probably knock him back a little bit further because he is a rookie trying to advance himself. He's doing great. Elliott Sadler, he's a veteran, been around a while. It just means he's going to have to race as hard as he can, which he's going to do anyway.
By the way, I think it's the 27th today, isn't it? Am I wrong on that? Is that Austin Dillon's birthday? He's the 22nd year's 22nd birthday on the 27th, right?
Wow.
I'm getting my numbers all confused. Too many things going on. By the way, get on out of here.
Oh, yeah, I got to get up top where I can see this.
Get on out of here.
There's people that have been talking about not seeing enough cautions. They're going to get their fix.
Exactly. That's why I wore my yellow shirt today. Hey, by the way, tomorrow the NBA playoffs begin on ESPN and ABC. It all starts with the Kia NBA Countdown at 3 Eastern on ABC. Then at 3:30 Eastern on ABC, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and the Heat hosts Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks in Game 1. 7 Eastern on ESPN, the Magic and the Pacers open their series. And finally at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN, Dirk Nowitzki and the defending champion Mavericks face a tough test as they meet Kevin Durant and the Thunder. It's the NBA playoffs tomorrow on ESPN and ABC. ABC, the home of the NBA playoffs. And coming up next, Virginia is for lovers and Richmond is for first-timers. I'm not just talking about Travis Pastrana. The NASCAR family tree is growing. We'll talk to that young man coming up next.
How old is that younger man? He looks like he's like 12 years old.
Focused.
12.
Look at that.
That boy's diving in.
Picture perfect evening in Richmond, Virginia. Can't think of anything else I'd rather do than be at the racetrack. 21 minutes to green flag. Check this out. One of the best parts of every race weekend, the skydivers coming into the track.
Some of Travis Pastrana's boys right there.
Exactly. No, he would do it without a parachute, knowing him. Hey, the Nationwide Series. We mentioned this before. This is the place where the future of NASCAR is developed, like Travis Pastrana. This is where they're developed. This is the place where guys like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they become household names. But take a look at this. The number of drivers in this race alone who have never raced at this track in this series. That includes Kurt Busch and the driver starting 8th, Dr. Jerry Punch.
And look at this young man, Nicole. It looks like he should be waiting for a school bus, not climbing in a race car. But he is 18 years old. And Ryan, hey, congratulations on your debut tonight in the Nationwide Series. 96 laps of practice, 2 laps of qualifying, but you qualified 8th. What do you have for him tonight?
Well, I think RC Rep Chevrolet is real good. You know, the guys at Tommy Baldwin gave me a real great race car, and qualifying was what we thought we were going to struggle with, and we qualified 8th. So I think we got a real great race car for tonight, and you know, hopefully I can gain some experience from all these good guys and come out of here with a good finish and complete all the laps, and that's all we can ask for.
Hey, have some fun.
Thank you very much.
The young man looking to have fun. A lot of veterans will come by and say, stay on the bottom of the racetrack. You're a rookie. They're going to pick on you. Expect it to happen, but just finish the race. Nicole?
Indeed. He is a rookie, 18 years old. And if that name is familiar, that's because Blaney, Ryan Blaney, as in the son of Dave Blaney, he was a 2011 Super Late Model Touring Series champion. He's got a couple of ARCA Series finishes under his belt. He won the K&N Pro Series race at Phoenix last November. And, of course, this is the big one, his Nationwide Series debut.
Uncle Dale was a wheelman too. I'll tell you guys, there's a big-time buzz around this kid. There's a groundswell of people paying attention to him, one of whom is Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart has his eye on Ryan Blaney for the future. He said today that he feels like Blaney is a very cerebral racer who does a great job, a very calculated job of positioning himself in competition on the racetrack and making sure that he doesn't get in trouble. Big-time stars are already looking at this kid as the next big thing.
That is the absolute truth. There's a lot of Cup guys talking about this kid. One guy, Kevin Harvick, was talking to me about him a few weeks ago and says this young man has superstar written all over him. And we're really lucky. We've got a lot of young people. You look at him, you look at Ryan Blaney, you look at Cole Witt, you look at Austin Dillon, even Casey Roderick, who's in Randy Hill's race car this weekend. All these people are very young, talented guys and gals, Joanna Long, who are going to keep this sport moving forward, and they're the superstars of the future.
And don't forget, we mentioned it before, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's the champion, but let's not forget how young he actually is.
That's right.
Don't be surprised either if Blaney has a great run tonight in the race. This is a former RCR car that he's driving with a Richard Childress Racing motor in it. It's
Steve
a stout
Wallace
piece.
too. What about Steve Wallace?
Looking at the pole sitter, back to the guy who's starting second, Denny Hamlin. They have 7 wins at this track between the two of them. So if I had to give you a little bit of an option here, if I gave you those 2 guys or the other 41 drivers in the field, who would you take?
You give me Denny and Kevin and a bag of popcorn, and we will wear y'all out.
Get your popcorn ready. I'll take them, too. I said on Twitter after Harvick won the pole, in other news, the sun came up today. Yeah. It's just,
Look,
not
man,
surprising at all.
Harvick didn't shave. He ain't messing around, Jack.
Nope.
Yeah, he owns this place.
That's
He's
right.
fantastic.
24 career Nationwide Series pole, and by the way, that is a car that was also confiscated, that bumper. Marty Smith, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us. And fans, for you, check out Race Buddy. It is enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more camera views than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. When we come back, 250 laps from Richmond International Raceway, and we'll find out if it's Harvick and Hamlin or the rest of the field that comes out on top.
This
Don't
place
go
rocks.
away.
Let's get it on.
I know that guy.
The lights are on. The stage is set. The show has been cast. It's time to get back to NASCAR's roots. It's time to go old school in prime time. It's time for Richmond.
They've been having NASCAR races on these grounds since 1953. Tonight it's a Friday night short track showdown for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at the Action Track in Richmond. A new and very well-known player takes to the Nationwide Series stage tonight. Jamie Little has more. Jamie?
Well, Alan, he has been successful in everything he's done in his career, winning Supercross and Motocross championships, 11 X Games gold medals. You name it, he's done it, 4 Rally America championships. So why would Travis Pastrana want to race in NASCAR? Well, he said, quote, "I want to be in the most competitive series in the world." And for those of you who've seen or heard about him, this isn't the typical Travis Pastrana. He is 100% prepared and focused on racing a stock car. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. Travis Pastrana, just 1 star in a field loaded with racing talent tonight. 6 former Richmond winners, accounting for 11 victories at this track, 155 Nationwide Series wins all total in this field, and another big win up for grabs after 250 laps. First, let's go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Remain standing now as Pastor Joe Ellison, Senior Pastor of Essex Village Ministries, offers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we thank you tonight for this sport which we love so much, NASCAR. We thank you, Lord, for the protection of each and every driver tonight. We thank you, Lord, that you will guide them, you will give them wisdom, and most of all, you will protect their families. And tonight, Lord, we thank you for the men and women who serve our country in the armed forces around the world. Bless them, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now please welcome Kevin Bledsoe with Radio 1 as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed
at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Nice job there. About nine and a half hours ago or so, a lot of these drivers were in their cars with their opening practice laps of the day. Now they finally get to buckle in and get down to the laps they came here for. 250 laps of racing tonight in Richmond. And in our broadcast booth, high above the start-finish line, Alan Bestwick with former Richmond-winning driver Dale Jarrett and Richmond-winning crew chief Andy Petrie. It's not often you could say that a rookie driver has gathered attention on the race, but 11-time X Games gold medalist Travis Pastrana has drawn the attention of the action sports audience that adores him so much to this race. How have his preparations gone, and what do we expect?
Well, I think it's gone really well, Alan. This is a race on Thursday night in the K&N E-Series, and he did really well. He qualified good. He did get in this little incident. Really was in his making, spun out, but he had a good, solid race. I've watched most of his practice laps. He's getting some help from Matt Crafton here in practice. I expect that he will probably run a solid race. I don't think you'll see him crack the top 10. He may end up on a lap down, but I think he'll have a pretty solid race if he can catch a break or two.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see something from Travis Pastrana tonight that most of his fans aren't used to seeing, and that's a more conservative approach at this. He wants to get 250 laps under his belt tonight so that his next start he's better prepared yet.
Pastrana getting buckled in and ready to go. Now, as for the overall race, a track less than a mile, considered a short track by NASCAR. You call this place the ultimate short track.
This is a great place to race, and I think the majority of these drivers love racing here. It offers a little bit of everything. You have speeds over 140 miles per hour as you get down into turn one, but you have sharp corners, contact throughout the night. You know, you have to keep your cool here. You have to keep your brakes cool. So it's just a lot of fun, a lot of racing room out there.
There's a lot of room, but it gets tight out there, and you see the temper slayer. This track has a lot for the fans, too. The fans like this drama. They're going to see some possibly tonight because you get in some tight quarters, you're going to see some sparks fly.
We've seen a lot of great racing here at Richmond over the years and a lot of memorable confrontations. We'll see which of those we get tonight, hopefully both, when the Nationwide Series goes green, coming up next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote. And Armor All, undoing what life does to your car. That's the Armor All way.
Friday night fights, NASCAR Nationwide Series style on the Richmond International Raceway. Short track beginning in just moments. To Pit Road and Dave Burns.
Elliott Sadler didn't need any bad news. He's won twice this season, and he leads the championship. But an altered part in his race car may cause sanctions on him very soon. What does he do about it? As Elliott told me earlier, win this race and let nature take its course. Dr. Jerry Punch?
Reigning Nationwide champion Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won twice this year. Both those wins coming on mile-and-a-half tracks. We said, you know, this is the kind of track I really excel on. Last year, both of his wins came on a 3/4-mile oval at Iowa. Tonight, the key, he said, is patience. Don't overdrive the car and don't undercalculate fuel mileage. Last spring, he ran out of gas with 5 laps to go, running second. Vince.
For Cole Witt in the 88, it's just his second race with crew chief Bruce Cook, so communication is still a key. When he says loose, Cook's got to know exactly how loose is loose. That'll be a key tonight. Now let's get the command to fire him up.
And now, race fans, time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Richard Conte, Chief Wonder Officer of the Science Museum of Virginia.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine!
Let's go have some fun here. Your pit road speed is going to be 4,700 second gear. 4,700 second gear. Got it. And we'll put your pit sign out as you roll around your pace sign.
Gave him a thumbs up on that command, did you, Andy?
Yeah, I kind of like that one.
There you go. We're ready to roll in Richmond. Our ESPN in-race reporter tonight shares the track record for most nationwide series wins. Kevin Harvick, hoping to break that tie with Mark Martin tonight. We talk with Kevin on the pace laps next. Just to the north and east of downtown, the Richmond International Raceway, where the cars are rolling onto the track to begin tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series 250-lapper. On the pole, our ESPN in-race reporter Kevin Harvick, last man to have won a race from the pole here in the Nationwide Series, was Kevin. And that's some pretty good company he's got on that list for sure. See if Kevin can get another one tonight, and we talk with him now.
Hey, Kevin, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy? Hey, man, you've been so successful here, 5 wins in this series. Not going to ask you to divulge all your secrets, but I know a lot of drivers, and myself included when I raced, I found overdriving these corners, the entrance of these corners, was something I fought the entire time. I see no markings on this wall. You find this difficult about this track, and that's part of it?
There really are. We had this conversation today. There's really no reference points on the racetrack to know where to let off, so it's kind of all by feel. You definitely don't want to overdrive the corners, but it seems like the racetrack has lost a little bit of grip up off the corners, which is a great thing for racing. So it should be a fun night. Just want to thank everybody from Fast Six and Hunt Brothers, everybody that helps us on this program. Looking forward to having fun.
All right, Kevin, thanks a lot for talking with us. Good luck tonight.
Kevin, his front tire carrier, Austin Craven of High Point, North Carolina, is going to carry our over-the-wall camera there tonight. You got a chance to show off, Austin. Have a good night.
Thanks, man.
We appreciate it very much. So as the field checks their pace car speed and pit road speed, Travis Pastrana getting ready to go, starting back in row 13. Let's see if we can catch a word with him before the start.
Hey, Travis, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Loud clear.
Hey, buddy, you've been in a lot of big arenas in your career. How do the feelings right now getting prepared for your first nationwide race compare with those?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. That was what was that?
I was asking, I said, you've been in a lot of big arenas in your career in other forms of sports. How does this compare as you get ready to start your first nationwide race?
It's really awesome. I always say the scariest thing is the thing you're most unprepared for. And it's not that we're unprepared, man. The teams have done great. But, you know, I raced motorcycles since I was 4 years old for my first pro race when I was 16. You know, X Games, the same thing. So I'm getting in a car now. And, you know, we've had some K&N races, but really nothing quite on this stage. And, man, I'm nervous for sure. So it's going to be a heck of a race.
All right, we're looking forward to watching you. Have a great night, Travis.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. So Travis Pastrana carrying one of our high-definition onboard cameras tonight, the Nationwide Insurance camera. Elliott Sadler, championship leader, got one of our onboard cameras tonight, the Chevy camera. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the Ford EcoBoost on board. Danica Patrick with GoDaddy.com. Denny Hamlin, the Nationwide Insurance camera. Brad Keselowski, the Dodge on board. Justin Allgaier with our Goodyear camera. Kevin Harvick, our in-race reporter, the Fast Fixin' ChaseTheChicken.com camera. And as I mentioned, Travis Pastrana with the Nationwide Insurance onboard camera. Don't forget to check out Race Buddy at NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Live video from 8 onboard camera views. And lots more. Race Buddy at NASCAR.com. So, front row. Nicole asked down in the pit studio, Hamlin, Harvick, or the rest of the field, which would you take?
Give me that front row. Yeah, I'd have to take it too. I can't bet against these two drivers with the success they've had here.
Kevin Harvick, a 5-time winner at this racetrack, leading the field to the green. Who's going to get lap 1? How about Hamlin by a couple of feet? But Harvick to the point.
Yeah, he took charge into turn 1, kind of drove it down in there deep and stuck. Power off turn 2.
Yeah, he might have been a little conservative. Obviously, that could lead to something later on after a caution late in the race as to which lane you might want to take. But I believe Kevin Harvick will choose the inside the next time also.
Austin Dillon 3, Cole Witt 88 on board. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 6.
Up to a number of drivers that talked about how they feel like that this racetrack has changed a lot from when they were here last year. The exit of the corner, very slippery. They were having a hard time getting these cars hooked up.
Yeah, we just heard Harvick talking about how, you're slipping the tires coming up off the corner. Makes for great racing, but it's hard. It's hard for a crew chief to set up for that, to keep the car wheel turned through the middle and hook up the rear tires off the corner.
Looks like Witt in that 88 struggling a little bit in the outside lane. Stenhouse has passed him. A little bump there from Elliott Sadler.
Now he's really struggling.
And that's Ryan Blaney in that 36 making his first nationwide start here tonight. Had a great qualifying effort up in 8th.
And 54, Kurt Busch. Can he become a factor in this race tonight? Talked about the Kyle Busch Motorsports team trying to build their effort up through the early months of this season.
Yeah, they need some good things to happen to really get competitive and have a solid night without a lot of drama.
'54 Kurt running in 7th spot. Elliott Sadler in the 2, running in 6th, just in front of him. Car popping out of line to the inside is Brad Keselowski in the 22. That's Keselowski working on Ryan Blaney there for 10th position. Danica Patrick.
Yeah, just a lap and a half ago, we saw Danica racing with James Buescher coming off turn 4. Like Buescher kind of used her up a little bit right here.
So Patrick slipping a couple of spots from where she started the race in 16th position.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of that kind of racing happening all night long because you just have to use all of the racetrack to carry the speed and momentum out of that turn 4.
See how wide the track is. You think, man, you can carry speed everywhere, but you really can't do that. If you can't clear somebody and kind of get single file, you can't make the really good lap times. See right here, Keselowski tried to make the pass.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney needed all of turn 2 there. He moved that wall in on him since practice or something, it looked like. But that's just what you fight. The track flattens out there so quickly. That's what you fight. But he's hanging tough here on the outside of Keselowski.
Think about what a challenge it is for these young drivers to make the transition into these Nationwide Series cars now. Tires, cars themselves, unlike anything they've really driven earlier in their career.
There's another great battle for third. Looks like Stenhouse is going to get that. I talked to that Ryan Blaney after practice about that very same thing, Alan. How different these cars are from what he's used to. And, they're heavier. They make more power. The tires are different. They're radial tires versus bi-ply. It's hard to adjust for these new drivers that are starting this race for the first time in this series. I think Blaney hanging tough, like you said, on the outside, still digging.
Yeah, and he's doing it with a driver that has publicly said that this young man, Ryan Blaney, has a lot of talent, and to keep an eye on him because he might be the next up-and-comer in the Nationwide Series that's going to make a big impact.
Austin Dillon in the 3, giving up a couple of spots. Casey Kane, Ricky Stenhouse by him. Dillon back to 5th, fighting for that spot with his Childress Racing teammate, Elliott Sadler. And Sadler, the championship leader, is through. Kevin Harvick started on the pole. Denny Hamlin led the first lap, but then Harvick drove by him and has paced all of the circuit since. He's keeping an eye on him in that rearview mirror, though. Beautiful sunset on a Friday night in Richmond, Virginia, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series is just underway in race 7 of this 2012 season. Kevin Harvick started on pole, paced all but one of the opening laps. You see the gap from Harvick back to second place. Denny Hamlin, it's about 0.8 of a second right there. Pretty well single file back through most of the top 20. Only changes for position in the last couple of moments Cole Witt shuffled back a spot by Ryan Blaney. A little deeper into the pack to get to some of the side-by-side racing, including Mike Wallace in the 01 to the inside of Travis Pastrana in the 99. This on Travis's radio.
There you go. That's good 1 and 2 right there. Don't try to pick up the throttle too soon. Let it get pointed down here at 3 and 4 before you start to pick up that throttle. Just like that. Perfect 3 and 4. Just wait, wait, wait. Now pick it up in a straight line, just like that. Really good. Driving away from the guys behind you now.
Yeah, that's really good information that they're giving Travis. That's one of the things I've seen with new drivers, young drivers, that they try to make the car do things that it really doesn't want to do. Let the car work. He's telling you to let it work through the middle of the corner, and that's good advice.
Yeah, a lot of times I would say that's too much radio conversation in some cases. In this case, it's not. Travis needs this. He needs that instruction. Understand when he's doing things right and when he's not. It'll help his learning curve quite a bit.
Caution for debris.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
One of NASCAR's spotters around the racetrack just called that into the control tower. First yellow flag is out. 23 laps into the event. Pit work here, Andy, or not?
I wouldn't. I think I'd stay out here just to save some tires, but some of the cars deeper in the field may pit.
If you're new to NASCAR in the Nationwide Series, in an effort to save teams money, tires are expensive, racing tires. NASCAR limits the number of tires teams can use in a weekend. They're given 6 sets for the weekend. After practice and qualifying, they have to give one of those sets back. So they basically have what they've got on the car and 4 more in the pit lane. Used or new.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like a lot of teams getting ready to make a pit stop. Be a good chance for some of the teams then. If they don't, yeah, it looks like Harvick's staying out. I was going to say, if the leaders pit, it'd be a great time to steal some track position. Looks like they're all staying out.
Top 10 looks like Justin Allgaier back in 16th place is going to be the first one to come to the pit lane. So first yellow's out tonight here in Richmond. Coming to the restart with most of the front runners having stayed on the track under this yellow. Jamie?
Well, Travis Pastrana was so anxious for his first ever stop here in the Nationwide Series. He came in and he wasn't supposed to. The guy serviced him anyway. He's back out there.
Huh. Kevin Harvick slides up in front of Denny Hamlin and shuts that door forcefully.
Little give and take right there. See, Hamlin just gave him that position early in the race.
Yeah, that could be a different story later on.
Championship contenders. Stenhouse Jr. in the 6 and Sadler in the 2 fighting for a spot. That's been a season-long theme.
Yeah, Sadler actually gave Stenhouse a little bit of a break there too, but that's what you do, especially early in the race. And 2 great competitors.
Sorry about that, Dale. Behind them, that's Casey Kane in the outside lane in the 38. Sam Hornish Jr. wrestling the steering wheel of that 12. Gee, we've seen that before this year too, right?
He gets plenty of practice at that part of it.
And at the race at Texas, the last race out 2 weeks ago tonight, he had his hands full.
Yep, thing is, he's moving forward right now.
Yep. Sam started 12th. He's up to 6th. Something worth keeping an eye on, too, while we're thinking about it. After the initial start and this first restart is the break on the inside-outside lane. Oh, hello. Not sure if we're seeing a story develop there, if there's a clear advantage in either lane yet, but when you see people lose several spots right off the get-go in the first couple laps after a restart, it gets your attention.
Yeah. And these drivers will keep monitoring that and seeing exactly what they can and can't do. And as if that changes throughout this race, as more rubber gets put down, especially up in that second group.
It's like Keselowski in that 22. He's struggling a little bit.
Racing with Brian Scott in the 11. That's 11th and 12th.
Really expect to see Keselowski farther towards the front. Vince, what's going on with that 22?
Yeah, not really happy with it right now, Andy. Says it's just too tight in the center and he can't get it to turn. Hearing that a lot up and down pit lane, the center and how you can drive it up off to the key here at Richmond. And right now it's just not working for Brad Kay in that 22.
Yeah, you put a lot of value in getting the rear tires to hook up off the corner, and sometimes maybe too much makes the car push through the center, and that can cause you more problems than maybe being a little bit free or loose off the corner.
Yeah, a lot of times you get that center part better where your car rotates there. You can drive it straighter up off, and you won't be as free up off the corner. It's hard to make your mind tell you that and be right sometimes, though, to make that adjustment.
It's almost like swing easy and hit it far with a golf ball.
Yeah. So if you're struggling in the opening run and the caution comes out, yet you don't take the opportunity to come down the pit lane and work on it because you can't give up the track position.
Well, not just the track position, that's very important, but the tires too. They don't want to waste a set of tires with just 25 laps on them.
Yeah, you don't want to get yourself in a position here late in a race with 40 or so laps to go when everybody's going to come get a set of tires and your own scuffs out there. You'll be a sitting duck.
Joey Logano in the 20 trying to slide underneath Keselowski and take that spot. And here comes Michael Annett in the 43 as well.
I wouldn't count him out, though. That's one thing about Keselowski. He'll hang in there like a bulldog, and he'll come back. He'll get that car right. He'll make a comeback.
See Michael Annett there, and then 43. We talked about every one of these races, just how impressive this race team is, and what a good job Michael Annett's doing in this 43 car. This team was just put together literally in January, and got to Daytona and had a solid run there, but have been pretty solid ever since then.
Started 19th, trying to move up, Dave.
One of the big reasons Michael told me today was they get equipment from Roush Fenway Racing, but also the knowledge and the expertise. They do debriefs with the 6 team of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Remember last year's champion? And Michael said that is really good for me because I get to hear from their crew chief, engineer, and driver on what's helping them.
You cannot believe how valuable that is as a team to have somebody like that, a resource that you can go to and at least verify that what you're doing is right or maybe not. Having that resource for that team has got to be tremendously valuable.
And Mike Bliss in the 44 joining the picture through Keselowski for a spot. Bliss is shuffling Keselowski back to 15th spot. Kevin Harvick setting the pace tonight in Richmond for the NASCAR Nationwide Series so far. Lights on over this beautiful racing stadium. Lights will be on over a beautiful baseball stadium Sunday night at 8 Eastern as a rematch of last year's AL Division Series with the Tampa Rays visiting Josh Hamilton and the Texas Rangers. Then Monday night at 7 Eastern, the Rangers look to build on that quick start they've had this year as they take on the Toronto Blue Jays, trying to keep pace in the American League East. Both games available on ESPN, ESPN3, and live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell and Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. Kevin Harvick, leader of all but one lap so far tonight, but still very early in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Richmond International Raceway. Got 36 cars on the lead lap at this point, including Timmy Hill, who got the free pass at the only caution we've had so far. A look back in traffic finds Travis Pastrana running in 29th position overall. And I say that by way of referencing back to our conversation about expectations before the start of the race where Travis is concerned. When you look at some others who've come from other forms of motorsport into the NASCAR Nationwide Series for the first time, how they've fared in their very first race. Well, Montoya, Hornish, Franchitti, Carmichael, Patrick, all pretty big names in other forms of motorsport before they got here. And you see none of them finished in the top 10, and most of them, Montoya the exception, finished pretty well down the running order.
Yeah, that's surprising. You see that, and it just tells you how hard it is. This is just a very, very competitive sport.
We talk about what a great racetrack this is. It's also a very difficult racetrack. That's why most drivers like it, because of the difficulty of it. So Travis picked a tough place to come, but serving him well so far.
So to the front of the pack and up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, and check in on how some of the front runners are faring. Vince, you've got Kevin Harvick.
Crew Chief Ernie Koch told me that of the 15 or 20 different drivers he's worked with in the 33 over the last couple of years, Kevin Harvick is definitely the guy that wants his car the freest. The key for Ernie is keeping it free and not loose. Kevin says it's a little on the loose side right now. Doc?
Denny Hamlin says the car's a bit snug in the middle, but otherwise pretty good, and basically right now just biding his time, trying to be very patient with the 18 car. Vince.
The 54 of Kurt Busch, the biggest issue they've had with this car so far tonight is the fact that it's just been running hot. Kurt said, I've got every fan on in the car, but it's still too high on the temperature. The team said, get out from behind the traffic and get some air to it. Doc?
Ricky Stenhouse said the key here is being able to get in the throttle and stay in the throttle, getting up off the corner without getting loose. Well, guess what? It's starting to get loose coming off, and now getting loose going in. They need a track bar adjustment on that first stop. Hey.
That yellow 36 is Ryan Blaney getting the challenge from Stenhouse. Started 9th, running 5th, and under caution told his team, yeah, I'm a little loose, but I don't want to lose that roll in the center. The kid knows what he wants. And then there's this.
Are you having fun yet? You have no idea.
He's relaxed. He could be a threat tonight.
And Austin Dillon behind him made his debut right here in the Nationwide Series 1 year ago. Qualified 31st. What a difference a year makes. Qualified 3rd tonight. So far, the only issue, he's having some brake shakes, so he's turned those brake blowers off. Doc?
And behind him, Casey Kane. Remember, they lost an hour of practice having to change the nose after NASCAR confiscated the front fascia. But they're okay right now. Casey said the big problem they've got, the left front splitter is hitting, making it very hard to get the car to turn in the corner. You know, he's like the winner. Hasn't run a nationwide race here since 2008. And back behind him, Sam Hornish Jr. Boy, does Sam like these kind of racetracks. He won last year at Phoenix. Likes to run at Poconos. I like tracks that have different corners at different ends. Right now, the car getting a little bit free, entering 3. Dave.
Doc, Elliott Sadler's going the wrong way. He restarted in the 5th position. He is back to the 9th position now. Elliott complaining about the condition of the car, saying the sliding the front tires to the center of the corner. I need some forward bite. AB, I think that'll take a pit stop to achieve.
Yeah, which they've still got a little ways to go if we don't see a caution flag in the near future. So, Kurt Busch in the Kyle Busch Motorsports 54 car, really showing some muscle in this segment of the race since that restart, and he gets second from Denny Hamlin there.
Yeah, this is genuine muscle because they didn't do it with pit strategy. They've done it just by driving up to the front. This is the best we've seen this team all year.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has to at least be smiling inside right now a little bit, say, yeah, we are making some progress here. He and Mike Beam have been working hard to try to put this team on the right track, and so far it's working here.
Yeah, I talked to Mike Beam earlier in the year, and he targeted this race as being one that they were going to make a big move because they were going to have new cars. All their stuff was going to come together at this race, and it's working out for them.
Nationwide Series has had 3 weeks off this month of April, and now they've got a hard stretch. 21 of the next 22 weeks they race, and for this team to get organized, they needed to have it done by now, or it's going to be a tough road.
The one thing I am worried about here is, as we heard, that the engine's running hot. We saw a couple of these Toyota engines blow up at Texas, and that was why they blew up. They had the engines got hot, overheated, and it messed the motors up.
Well, Kurt Busch up to second and closing on leader Kevin Harvick, who's dominated the night so far, with lots of racing still to come in Virginia's capital city. Second yellow flag is out. The disabled car you see at the top of the screen belongs to J.J. Yaley, who has just pounded the wall in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, we saw how that car went into the wall. It looked just like what you see one of these beads. I'd almost guarantee that bead melted from the brake heat. That's one of the problems at this track, is that it makes extreme amount of heat in the front, and it's hard to control it with the brake ducts.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's right in the spot, especially with these Nationwide cars. You're trying to carry so much speed with them because of the lack of horsepower that you're really back in the throttle early and driving. Watch this go, and nothing you can do as a driver except hold on.
See, Pastrana just missing that too. I bet he got a good look at this.
So a hard crash for J.J. Yaley, but fortunately there you see him walking from the car in turn number 4. Pit road is open, And the rush is on among the leaders, most of whom will make their first stop of the night, Dave.
Fourth place, Ryan Blaney. This is his first nationwide stop of his career, and he hits his marks. 4-tire change, no changes to the car, just a little bit loose into the corner. Doc.
Denny Hamlin's wedge, left rear air pressure change, both rears a little free on exit, both ends of the racetrack. Vince.
Kurt Busch, upper right of your screen, loose in and off, so they're going to make a wedge adjustment. Concerned about the temperature, so tape off the grill. 4 tires. Also 4 tires and a half round up on the track bar for the 33 of Kevin Harvick. It's tight in the center and a little bit loose off. Harvick, the first one off pit road.
And the driver going to lose the most ground in that set of stops is going to be Ryan Blaney. Follow up on what happened there, but it's going to take him all the way out of the top 10. Second caution, cleanup underway at Richmond. As we work the caution here at Richmond, reminder that the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Spring Nationals from Houston coming up, qualifying tomorrow on ESPN2, and then the finals Sunday, ESPN2 as well. Next weekend, the Nationwide Series, Talladega. Next Saturday.
Going to be fun.
ABC at 3 Eastern Time. The Virginia 529 College Savings 250 at Richmond, about to wrap up its second caution. On the round of pit stops, Kevin Harvick held the lead, but Ryan Blaney lost quite a bit of ground from inside the top 5 to outside the top 10.
Yeah, he drove from 8th all the way up to the front. And then this pit stop, he didn't really do anything wrong. In fact, they had a little issue with their pit stop. You see the driver time was a little bit long, and he lost about 5 seconds in 7 spots.
Dave, there's a little tricky situation there on his pit stop.
Maybe one thing that cost him right at the very end was on the fuel can, the top broke. There's a nut inside here that came off, and so they had to pull this can out, had to finish fueling with a full second can, and actually held him on pit road to make sure they got the car full of fuel.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, another thing, he had a car to come in right in front of him, that's all in front of him too, that held him up just a little bit. So just things and probably being a little bit careful, just what you should do. But he's doing a fantastic job driving this race car.
All right, let's see how Kurt Busch fares trying to get the lead away from Kevin Harvick.
I asked you in break, did you take the inside or outside of your Harvick? You said the inside. What do you think now?
I still think the inside. I just think Kurt Busch car is that good right now.
Boy, it is.
New leader, Kurt Busch.
I think Harvick's car being a little bit on that free side hampers him just a little bit on the start. And I'm not sure he could go any better on the top side with him restarting like that.
Harvick trying to find a way back inside Kurt Busch.
Yeah, he's going to make a run at him here. It takes a little bit of time to get the air pressures built up in the tires on this 33. Once it does, his car is awesome here for about 30 laps.
There he goes.
All right, Harvick back to the point. We've just gone back racing from the second caution, brought out when J.J. Yaley had a pretty hard crash up in turns 3 and 4. Jamie?
It was the first big hit of the night. JJ, I know you're okay. You're smiling. What happened there?
The new Gulf Resources Toyota was really good. We just started getting tighter and tighter. We didn't get to run much practice. We had some issues getting through tech today, so we had 4 laps on the track before qualifying. But this Vision Racing, we had a great car. Qualified 22nd first time out, and just too tight. May have had a tire rub, but blew right front going into turn 3. Luckily, turn 3 over turn 1, a little bit slower corner. But I'm fine. Say hi to Chris and Faith back home, and just look forward to the next one.
J.J. Yaley's looking to get back in the car later in the season, Alan.
Jamie, thanks. Glad to see J.J. is just fine. Got some hard racing going on in this group back in the pack.
They haven't been afraid to swap a little bit of paint, I'll tell them that.
Annette 43, Scott 11, Keselowski 22. Just behind them, Allgaier 31 and Blaney 36. That's one of those groups you watch racing where you say to yourself for a lap or two, there's where the next caution comes from. But they managed to work it out.
Yeah, and this has been ever since the green flag waved.
Yeah.
So.
Keselowski and Scott there. That is for 12th and 13th place, with Blaney behind him in 14th.
Yeah, this group had Ricky Stenhouse back in it at least a few laps ago. Cole Witt was back there towards that.
It looks like Keselowski is now going the right way. He was going backwards when the race started. They made an adjustment, and now it looks like his car is a little better anyway.
Yeah, and Ryan Blaney showed another kind of a veteran move there, being ready to pounce and follow whenever a driver in front of him kind of opened up the hole. He was able to stick his nose in there and take the spot away.
Allgaier trying to make up some of the track position. Remember, they gave up 16th spot on the first caution, restarted 26th for a pit stop. Still trying to chip his way back toward the front.
Yeah, as it turns out and looks now, that was probably a good decision they made. They've got themselves back inside the top 15 now, so probably beneficial to them to work on that car.
Joey Logano 20, challenged by Elliott Sadler in the 2.
Sadler's car was fast at the start of this race, but then it really fell off. We'll see what kind of adjustment they made. If it's like he's fast again on fresh tires.
We almost saw the opposite of this with his teammate Austin Dillon. He was very slow at the beginning of the race, and by the time that caution came out, he was one of the faster cars, one of the top 3 fastest cars on the track. And now with that pit stop, he gained some track position. Austin's up there in 4th spot.
There's Casey Kane through Joey Logano to grab a spot there in the 38. '87 laps, 88 now complete, working the 89th. Kevin Harvick has led 81 of them. Challenged by Denny Hamlin early and Kurt Busch recently, but Harvick is setting the pace. It's the Virginia 529 College Savings 250 at Richmond. Fans, remember to check out Race Buddy, enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. Kevin Harvick out in front tonight at Richmond International Raceway. Harvick started on pole tonight, lost the lead on the first lap to Denny Hamlin, got it right back at lap 2. Then after a caution flag at lap 68, lost the lead ever so briefly to Kurt Busch for 3 laps, then got it right back, and he's moved out ahead now by 1.1 seconds on the second place car. Just the 2 cautions, one for debris at lap 24, one at lap 68 for J.J. Yeley with a right front that went down that put him into the outside wall. And stories of the night so far, that man, Kurt Busch, moving solidly up through the field to challenge for the lead. Ryan Blaney in the 36, moving up, losing ground on a pit stop, now trying to regain himself. And, of course, Harvick, the man who's out in front and setting the pace in this race. There is Blaney back in the 36 car. Ran all the way up as high as 4th place in this race, fell back to 12th after a problem on a pit stop a minute ago. Ryan says the goal for tonight is experience and respect.
Gain experience and respect from other racers. You know, coming out of here with a great finish would be good. It will really boost the team for Darlington. But I think if we come out of here clean and like I said, with a lot of experience and respect from other racers is really what we're looking for.
I know he's gained some from you tonight.
I'm very impressed. I'd heard a lot about this young man and watched him in some of the K&N races. But to watch him get in one of these Nationwide cars, these things are hard to drive. And he's just doing a really, really solid job. And I know his dad has to be really proud of him. There's Dave Blaney watching.
Dave is up on the back of one of the rollback trucks positioned inside the Sprint Cup garage in the middle of turns 3 and 4, watching his 18-year-old son. Of course, 3rd generation racer is Ryan. Dave, his dad, his grandfather as well, raced very successfully. You know, again, back to you, Dale, but you know a thing or two about racing running along family lines. You've got the Wallaces, Rusty's son Steven back out here tonight. You watched your dad race. You picked it up. There's something about it. It runs in the family.
Yeah, and you know, he and I had a discussion yesterday. Was fortunate to do an interview with him, and to handle those expectations, because everybody's going to want to compare. And Dave Blaney is a tremendous race driver and has been very successful. And so he's going to have to deal with it. But he's got such a good head on his shoulders and his expectations and just a lot of talent. I saw him on the restart. He lost a little bit of time, but he was smart in that respect. He could have put himself in a couple of bad positions and probably maybe got knocked out of this race. But here he is still trying to battle his way back inside the top 10.
Trying to fight his way around Michael Annett for the 11th spot, Dave.
And one more thing that might put him in that young but acting like a veteran category. Some of the veterans got into him, and he kind of called one of them a bad name. He's got some passion, guys.
He's a racer, man. He wants to go to the front.
Well, again, Michael Annett and Cole Witt just in front of him.
You know, so far in this race, though, I'm sure he's gained some respect. He's raced with Keselowski. He's raced up there with Stenhouse. All of these other drivers are now seeing how good he is and how poised he is. I haven't seen him really do anything shaky or anything wrong. So he's doing a really, really nice job.
Yeah, this too, all with a race team that doesn't run in this series all the time. So it's difficult for even good race drivers to come in here with teams that don't compete in this series, because there's so much to know and learn throughout these races.
Yeah, we've seen Kyle Busch with his new team really struggle in the first part of the season. So, yeah, this team is to be commended as well as how good they're running.
Checking in on the leader, Kevin Harvick. Now, a lot of folks consider there maybe to be a little similarity car-wise between this track and Phoenix International Raceway. Well, Kevin Harvick dominated the race at Phoenix. All 107 of those laps led this season were in the race in Phoenix back at the end of February, beginning of March, second race of the season. Harvick ended up losing out on that race because of strategy late. I'm not sure I want to be the crew chief of the lead car tonight, again, to have to make that same call.
I don't think, in talking to a number of drivers about how slick this racetrack got, I don't know that the two-tire situation that we saw work at Phoenix is going to work here. I think you'd have to be very, very fortunate, and to do that, you'd have to have just a great race car, and I don't see that happening here.
But there's always a situation, it seems like, in these races that it comes down to, you know, a short run, and then you got to decide, well, what do we do? Do we pit? Do we not pit? Do we get to? Do we, you know? So there's a situation that can get you in every race.
So I asked you a while ago, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin or everybody else. You both took the Harvick and Hamlin duo. Well, we see Harvick leading most of the laps tonight. Denny Hamlin's running third, but not challenging for the lead like I think we all expected him to be for much of the night.
Well, there's one thing that you need to look at, and it's that lap count. I think by the time we get closer to the end, you're going to see Denny a little further up there challenging.
Yeah, we didn't see that in the Cup race last week at Kansas either, but when it came time to win that race, he was right there, Doc.
Indeed he was, DJ. You know, Matt Lucas and the company made some changes on Denny's car on the 18 car with that one pit stop. But Denny said it only helped at about 40 or 50%. Still very, very free in both ends of the racetrack. Denny knows he just bides his time, doesn't burn the tires off, is patient. He will come back in and make a major change. And then this car, like Denny typically does at Richmond, will come to life.
All right, Doc. We'll see if that 18 car comes to life as the race winds on. While Kurt Busch in traffic tries to creep back in on the back bumper of Kevin Harvick. Remember, in the other long run we had in the race a little while ago, the deeper into the run, the closer that 54 got to the 33. Trying to put a lap on Danica Patrick, who's the last car on the lead lap in 25th place. Well, Kurt's there again.
And Danica fighting hard on the outside to just try to stay on that lead lap.
Wallace. 0-1 just in front of the leaders now will be the last car on the lead lap. 39 car Matt Fromm is not on the lead lap. He's already 2 laps out and trouble. 81 car has spun. Jason Bowles off turn 2. Doesn't look like he hit anything significantly.
Looks like he got away with it.
Got any damage here?
Looks good to me.
I didn't hit him.
Maybe that left rear is tucked under a little bit.
I think he might be okay.
Could have been from some contact.
Yeah, right there where his left rear got caved a little. I don't think he hit anything after that.
Robert Richardson is the driver of the 23. All right, so he got away with it. Jason Bowles was in 27th spot, a lap down. 3 pass to Danica Patrick. Pit road opportunity again for some of the front runners.
Yeah, and hopefully this is going to be a better opportunity for Blaney. You know, he really struggled from 4th back to 12th, the last pit stop. Danica fought hard. She's going to get the lucky dog anyway.
Pit road open, and the leaders are buying. .133 to go, Jamie.
And Austin Dillon getting the countdown, saying that last run the car tightened up. It was good, but it went a little too tight, so they're going back on those changes. They're going up on the track bar, 4 tires, Doc.
Denny Hamlin still very, very loose. Left lower corner of your screen, 4 tires. They're going to go up, make a track bar adjustment, of course, and Hamlin trying to come onto his pit, did not stop on pit road, goes back out, missed the pit, guys, fence.
Kurt Busch, upper right-hand portion of your screen, loose in and loose off, air pressure adjustment and tape off the grill, 4 tires for Kurt. And you see Harvick, first one off pit road. They made another track bar adjustment and 4 more tires for the leader.
Boy, oh boy, now what do you do if you're the 18? You miss the pit. If you come back in, you're going to be back about 25th in line for the restart. But you got to come back in, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is oh, that's tough. Fight his way back to the front.
Well, he's going to go from 3rd all the way back to the mid-20s somewhere. The 2012 NFL Draft on ESPN, where dreams become reality for tomorrow's stars. Our team, led by Trey Wingo, Trent Dilfer, and Mel Kiper Jr., gives their take on every selection as the NFL Draft continues live tomorrow at noon on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. See if your team makes the right moves. Redskins, RG3.
Going to be interesting.
All right, here at Richmond International Raceway, Kevin Harvick's team just gave a very full service stop to the 33. Kevin, our in-race reporter for the night.
Kevin, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy? 10-4. Hey, man, dominant car so far. This is going to be 114 laps led so far. Making any changes to that car, or you got it where you want it?
Yeah, I think the 54 is a little bit better than us right now, so we've been adjusting on our car, trying to keep it turning in the center and get a little bit more forward bite up off. But we got a little segment of the run that's better than his. He can take off the first couple corners better, and then he's better after about 20 laps. So we'll see what happens here, but just got to thank everybody for doing a good job on our Fast Fixes Chevy here and having fun.
Kevin, you seen any change in the racetrack since this race started earlier?
Seems to have been pretty consistent. We've been fighting the same problem since we started the race, so everything's pretty much normal on par Richmond style race here so far.
Okay, good luck, man. Thanks.
So Kevin Harvick get ready to lead the field to the restart in just over a lap from now. They'll get the 1-to-go signal this time. So, story of this round of pit stops was Denny Hamlin missing his pit while coming in running third. He is lined up 24th now for this restart.
Okay, we're not to halfway yet. We'll drive right back up there through these guys and be there at the end.
Words of encouragement offered to the driver.
Well, that's what you have to believe, but that's going to be a tall task for Denny Hamlin to do, Doc.
Yeah, we could hear Denny a moment ago, DJ, just perfectly clear on that radio transmission there about we're not the halfway yet, we're okay. But earlier than that, intermittently the radio has been going in and out. They haven't been able to hear Denny. He has not been able to hear the crew or the crew chief. As I was watching him come down pit road, waiting for them to call him in, I didn't hear a thing from either one. The radios went dead. Denny didn't hear anything. He drove right on by the pit, so it might have been a bit of a radio communication, although he should be watching, I'm sure. But he was waiting for someone to call him in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to the stop.
I'm sure he can drive his way up through there, but it's going to use a lot of brakes and things like that you got to do. Got to use up to get to the front.
And hope he doesn't get caught in something with this big knot of traffic ahead of him on the restart.
And he'll probably have to have a few cautions to help him in that respect, too, and not be part of them.
A little bumping and shoving in the traffic. Okay, a lot of bumping and shoving in the traffic. Harvick, Busch, Hornish, Sadler. Then side by side, Dillon and Logano. And here comes Casey Kane ducking to the inside.
Steve Wallace and Brian Scott battling hard.
There's Steve in the 4. Return to the Nationwide Series for that third-generation racer.
They were briefly 3 wide down the back straightaway, get into turn 3.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski back in territory he's really not familiar with and probably doesn't want to be a part of, really. But just having some struggles with that race car tonight.
Definitely not what we expect to see from Brad. And Denny Hamlin there, making it 3 deep, trying to regain some of that lost ground in the 18.
We're going to see everything this 18 car's got right now. Denny Hamlin's very capable of doing this. Just how aggressive will he get?
And who's going to be the one to find out?
Like the next one might be Brad Keselowski.
Got those brake rotors glowing on that 18 while he leaned on him going into the corner. A point I was about to make while we were talking about Brad Keselowski, while he's back there in the pack struggling, here's his Penske teammate Sam Hornish with that number 12 Dodge up here racing for third with Elliott Sadler.
Sam's done a nice job tonight. Seen a couple of times where his car looks to be a little bit on the free side, but he's been able to manage that and keep himself up in the mix, up in the top 5, top 6.
88 Cole Witt, 43 Michael Annett, 9th and 10th place.
Annett gets a good run off of turn 4. That's a car that has some real good drive off the corner. Those rear tires are hooked up.
Cole Witt in that 88 car started in 4th, Vince, but he's outside the top 10 right now.
Just haven't been able to find the sweet spot with that car so far tonight, Alan. Just too tight in the center. They've made chassis adjustments on both pit stops, trying to free it up in the center. And even in the late stages of that last run, Cole said they lost the security on entry, so they might not be going the right direction.
All right, Vince, thanks. So now fighting to hold on to the 11th spot. Justin Allgaier digging hard. Now back in traffic. Talked about some bumping and shoving. Danica Patrick in the 7. Robert Richardson in the 23.
Your door. Still there. Bumper clear. Clear by 1. Clear by half.
That would not be the first time
clear by 3.
that they have tangled in these last several laps. Although Richardson might have done some damage to his car with that hard a shot. This was a few laps ago.
It's a
lot of rubbing right there. That was the action. This was the reaction.
Yeah.
Well, before this corner, same lap, I'd watched him go into turn 3, and Danica gave Robert Richardson a little bit of a shot, too, as he entered 3.
Right side here.
But he's coming out with the worst end of this.
Get ready, guys.
Yeah, they're going to have to address this issue here. If he's got a tire rub smoking that bad, it's getting ready to do some damage.
Yeah, those tires are tough, but they won't take that for very long.
Look, Austin Dillon, 3, big slip there. That wasn't pretty.
No, and it takes a long time to recover from that. You get up there and get some of the those marbles on your tires. You
Turn them fans
can't get
back
them cleared off.
Turn them fans back on.
Right front fender on the 3. And left rear fender on the 3. Might be a little worse for wear.
Roughed up a little bit.
Starting to see a little more of what we expect here at Richmond. Yeah, a little more running into each other. Temper starting to get a little bit shorter. You get about 100 laps left in this race.
So Stenhouse in the 6, Logano in the 20, and Annett in the 43. That is 6th, 7th, and 8th. Best finish of the season for Annett so far, 9th at Texas a couple of weeks ago. Much as we've talked about the nice job that he's done, something's always kind of gotten in the way of their finish, but they had a good one at Texas last race and hoping for more tonight. Travis Pastrana said his goal for the night was to finish on the lead lap, Jamie. He's on the lead lap right now, 19th.
Doing a nice job so far, other than the one hiccup early on when he pitted too soon. He slipped back to 30th. Well, since then, he's been passing cars, and his guys are getting it done for him on pit road. This was Travis on the radio after his last stop.
Thanks to the pit guys, I'm now ahead of both girls in the race. Thank you. She took 2, and she's way ahead of me, and I can't see her. Oh, she's behind you. Good job, crew.
See, just nice goals for Travis. He's ahead of the girls, and to him, that's a big deal right now in his first nationwide race, Alan.
All right, Jamie. Doing a nice job.
He's doing a really, really good job. And if you'd have told him before he started this race he was going to be running in front of Brad Keselowski with about 100 laps to go, he'd have probably thought he'd been in the top 5. But
yeah,
still doing a nice job inside the top 20.
Yeah, the only thing is, like we kind of mentioned earlier, was that he took an extra set of tires there. He's already used one more set than most of the cars. That might come back to haunt him later in the race.
Past halfway in this NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Richmond International Raceway, dominated by Kevin Harvick so far. We've completed 142 laps. Kevin's led 134. Nice job by Travis Pastrana in the mix.
Not yet.
Kevin Harvick continues to lead at Richmond. Reminder that the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Spring Nationals from Houston. Qualifying Saturday, ESPN2. Finals Sunday, ESPN2. And the NASCAR Nationwide Series next weekend at Talladega, ABC at 3 Eastern Time, 1 week from tomorrow. Virginia 529 College Savings 250 at Richmond for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Kevin Harvick has a young one on the way. He and wife Delana maybe going to bank a little bit of that cash in his own college savings plan with a win tonight. You like how I work that all together? He's got right now about a 9/10 of a second lead over Kurt Busch, who charged up to challenge Harvick for the lead in the second run of the race. But in this segment of the race, he's kind of hanging back off the back bumper a little bit.
Starting to come back a little bit, though. He was about almost 2 seconds behind Harvick. Now Kurt Busch has moved up to within a second, 8/10 now.
Dropping back in this last period of the race, Austin Dillon in the 3, who's had a little bit of contact on a few different occasions.
Here, as they race up off of turn 2, a little contact there. There's probably some damage to the right front fender. That'll cause handling issues.
Joey Logano in the 20.
Whoop. Yeah, kind of used Joey up a little bit off the corner there.
So when Joey got back to him,
didn't hesitate to put the front bumper to him.
So there you go. Welcome to Richmond.
And Austin Dillon now back in the 12th position. Side by side ahead of him, Ryan Blaney trying to make up some ground. Cole Witt in the 88 racing with him.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney looks like his car. It doesn't take off that good on these restarts, but man, as you get some laps, he just continues to march forward. That's going to drive his way up there into the top 10, that 10th spot.
So Blaney and Dillon through Cole Witt as Denny Hamlin continues to dig his way back toward the front. Cracked the top 10 about 10 laps ago. Has just gotten around Joey Logano for the 6th position.
I don't think they made his car that much better if he just got mad after missing his pit, but the combination is working really well. I thought it would take him much longer to get back to this position.
What was the radio we heard? A lot of laps to go. We'll just drive our way back up through.
He's done it in a few laps.
He was 3rd when he had the problem.
Yeah, and now he's got himself in a position if they get a caution or something like that, he's right there to try to win the race again.
Michael Annett trying to get 7th from Joey Logano.
Really impressed with Michael Annett here tonight. Again, this whole season, but he's done a nice job of passing cars here tonight.
Passing good cars, too. Just made the pass on Joey Logano. Stephen Wallace having a good run so far, too. He just passed Cole Witt, moved up into the 12th spot. You see, he's got a little damage on that right front. Everybody out there kind of rooting around, aren't they?
Yeah, not uncommon for Richmond. Sometimes you
got to make a little room.
Makes it tough, yeah, and you just have to move them out of the way.
Team got this car from Roush Fenway Racing. And Stephen and Blake Bainbridge prepped it up. Little collaborative attempt here tonight as JTG Doherty Racing's pit crew is servicing the car. You think that deal was brokered in the pit studio?
I'd have to say a good chance of that, yeah. Yeah, he promised he'd feed Brad for about a week or something like that if he helped him out.
Probably.
That could get expensive, I can tell you that.
This a cash or a barter deal, Brad?
Well, my good buddy Rusty, DJ hit it on the head. He's going to feed me for about a month, so trying to take care of him. No, we were tickled to death to help Stephen out. Glad to see him back in the series, so thought I'd lend some of my guys to do a little pit work for him, and he's doing a good job. He's wheeling that thing.
Been keeping an eye on this effort in particular tonight. What have you been seeing?
You know, I think the good thing about Stephen is he's come back, and he was really consistent at the end of his run right before they stopped running, races week in and week out. And I think he's picked right back up. He's done a good job. He's taken pretty good care of that race car. Like I say, got a little damage on the right front, but he's going forward. And he's stayed in that top 17 all night long. I think he's got a really good race car that we get back to the end of the race, maybe he'll have a chance to get up there and get a good top 5 finish.
Now, as a professional athlete and as somebody who gets behind the wheel in a race car, too, sometimes reps are worth something, and Stephen hasn't had many reps so far this season. Let's check out the race for the lead. Here's that stretch of the race, or the run, where Kurt Busch closes in on Kevin Harvick.
It's almost like clockwork. We've seen it from the start of the race. We heard Harvick even talk about it, how he felt like he needed to work on his car because this has been happening every run. He can get away from Kurt Busch by a second or two. Then here comes Kurt, starting to make his way back forward.
Last couple times Kurt's gotten to him, one of two things has happened. They got to lap traffic and he didn't have room to pass, or the caution came out. Well, they've got some clear track ahead of them now. So this will be an interesting test.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's been glued to the bottom side of the racetrack, so he might have to use that front bumper a little bit here. He wants to take the lead. But he is much quicker, and it seems like Kevin's car is a good 35 to 45 lap car, and then he loses a lot of time to Kurt Busch, who's doing an excellent job.
Now, Kurt has not spent a lot of time behind the wheel of NASCAR Nationwide Series cars in his entire career. With the engine package the Nationwide Series uses, it creates a considerably different driving style for these cars than the Sprint Cup cars, and that's something Kurt has had to adapt to and then try and factor that into the feel he's trying to get in the race car itself.
Yeah, and I'd ask you, Dale, you've driven underpowered race cars before. What's the difference in the technique from that and say a high-powered car like a Sprint Cup car.
As we see him trying to make that pass on the high side now, and I believe he's going to be able to make that work. He saw he wasn't going to get around Kevin Harvick on the bottom side. But it's about momentum, so you know that you have to really work hard to keep the RPMs up in the center of the corner. And Kurt Busch is one of the best at doing that, but it is more difficult in trying to get that feel and do what you want and express what you need in the race car to your crew chief when you haven't done a lot.
Well, this time they had clear racetrack, and the caution did not wave, and Kurt Busch has taken advantage of the longer run speed of that 54 car and gone out ahead of Kevin Harvick, first guy that's passed him in this race in the long run.
174 laps complete at Richmond, but this is how it all began with Kevin Harvick starting on pole.
Kevin was dominant, led 158 in the first 174 laps. Outstanding run.
Very strong, still running second. Travis Pastrana making his Nationwide Series debut. His goal, be on the lead lap at the end. Where is he right now?
He has done a really good job. He's running 20th right now. He's been in and out of that top 20 all night long. He's kept the car pretty clean. Had a couple little dust up. Got the brakes a little locked up there. But he's done a really good job tonight making laps.
Danica Patrick, the other big star in this race, currently in 24th, 1 lap down. She too, a few dust ups tonight.
Saw her get into James Busher there a little bit. They've had past history. We see her right here with Robert Richardson. They had a little beating and banging going on, knocking each other around, but she's still trying to march forward to currently run at 23rd.
Want to talk about an impressive debut?
Man.
How about the driver of the 36, Ryan Blaney?
Tremendous poise this young man has shown tonight. He is doing a great job. I don't think I've seen him put a wheel wrong all night long. As his dad, Dave Blaney, he's got to have a big smile on his face. He's about 74 laps away from having a tremendous night.
I don't know. He looks a little nervous right there. Your leader right now is Kurt Busch. Now, here's a little something for you. 2 of Kurt Busch's 3 wins in the Nationwide Series have come in his first start at a track. By the way, this is his first start at Richmond.
Excellent job by Kurt Busch. That's a fast race car he's got right now, fastest on the track. He is a wheel man. It's fun to see him and Harvick going at it.
Let's go back and talk about the driver who we call Danica,
yes.
Name basic.
Yep.
She's currently running 24th. Dave, what do you got?
Well, at the beginning of the race, if you take your hands and put them on your steering wheel at 10 and 2, and then you flip them to the left so that they cross over each other, that's opposite lock. That's what she complained about at the beginning of the race. Very, very loose race car. They have worked on it. She's not doing that much better and been very quiet ever since they started to work on those situations. Crew Chief Tony Ure Jr. just told me, or just looked at me and said she hadn't said a thing, so they think she's kind of resolved to living with it. Not really a great drive for her tonight.
All right, Dave, thanks. So that's the update on the struggle Danica Patrick has had tonight here in Richmond. So 70 laps to go in this race. There's Kurt Busch, who has moved out now to a 2-second lead over Kevin Harvick. He's left him.
Yeah, it took his car 50 laps to come in and catch Harvick, but after he's done that, he's really he's stretching that lead out pretty good.
We've paid a pretty good bit of attention to Ryan Blaney tonight in that 36 car in his Nationwide Series debut. We're not the only one. Clint Boyer tweeting this a little while ago. Don't know who gave Ryan Blaney the opportunity tonight, but glad they did. Been watching him for a couple of years, and this kid can do it.
He's opened some eyes tonight, isn't he?
He really is. I couldn't agree with Clint Boyer anymore. It's just amazing to watch this young man. I mean, he's got great car control. He's sliding around doing the right things. Dave, it's been a special night so far.
It has, and he's made up a lot of positions tonight, running 8th now after restarting 13th. We showed you that battle earlier where he passed Austin Dillon and Cole Witt. Before, when he was in that mix, he said, my car is a little bit tighter this time. And as soon as he got by, and he said, hey, that's better. That loosened it right up. That free air has helped him, and currently running 8th, as you see.
By the way, let's tip the cap also to the race team. Tom Baldwin Racing doesn't normally field cars in this series. Got this car from Richard Childress, put it together. Brad Parrott, the crew chief, veteran, used to working with young drivers. And they put a good setup underneath the young man to let him show off his skills. Want the numbers on the late cautions now?
Yeah.
Recent history says we're going to have one. I'll tease you with that. Kurt Busch leading. I know he and his fans don't want to hear that. The Virginia 529 College Savings 250 at Richmond for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. ongoing tonight in Virginia's capital city. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Riding with Denny Hamlin, who has just gotten back to third place. Remember, he was running third when he missed his pit stall at lap 117. Had to go around, pit again. He restarted 24th. Took him about, 65 laps or so to get all the way back up to where he was. Unfortunately, he's almost 4 seconds behind the leader, Doc.
And Alan, since that lap 117 missed you, the embarrassment, frustration, whatever you want to call it, missing pit road and having to restart back in 15th. You know what he said on the radio? Absolutely nothing. The crew looking around at each other. He has not cued the radio. He has not said one word. Typical Denny Hamlin style. He's doing his talking with that right foot and the steering wheel. And DJ and Andy, I think typically when you make a driver mad, that's worth, what, about a tenth or so?
Yeah, I've seen it like that, Doc. You make him mad. He can get a little more.
Green flag pit stop here for Justin Allgaier, Vince.
They're going to put a couple of rounds of track bar going up on the track bar. Also some air pressure in the left rear. He says it just will not turn. That's been a big issue for Allgaier so far tonight, Alan.
All right, so that leads us to the conversation about fuel to the finish from that last pit stop. And I will bring up and just pay off the point I was talking about before about the late caution. History tells us we'll see a caution sometime in the late stages of this race. 19 of the last 20, 30 laps or less is the last green flag run. 6 of the last 9, 10 laps or less is the last green run. As Denny Hamlin goes by Kevin Harvick.
Looks like Harvick's making that stop now.
45-50, 45-50.
NASCAR showing the black flag to Robert Richardson, who's showing some smoke around the racetrack again. So back to the fuel thing I was about to, we were just starting on. Going to the finish from where they pitted last, just before halfway, was going to be...
Yeah, they were not going to be able to do that, but they could go farther than this. This is a short stop here, Vince.
Yeah, Harvick says it's just gotten real tight all of a sudden. You know, they've been fighting tight center and loose off, but he says really tight all of a sudden. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and an air pressure adjustment for the 33 of Kevin Harvick.
So the gamble here by Ernie Copa and this team is that the caution doesn't come out.
That's exactly right, and he'll go out here and make some time, a lot of time on these new tires, but if the caution comes out, obviously he's going to be a lap down. He needed to do this, though, because they were not good. They were losing ground more and more. He could have gone about 25 laps more than he did there. This is a calculated gamble by Ernie Cope.
Yeah, it's big risk because we see as you get into this time, if anybody's been abusing the brakes, they've used that right front tire, the beat of it, then we could get that caution.
Harvick shuffled back to 19th place now. Here's Elliott Sadler pitting under the green. Austin Dillon following him down the pit lane. Dave?
Sadler had been holding down the 4th position. He wasn't really that unhappy with his race car. He did say it needs to turn a little bit better in the center of the corner. Looks like there'll be an air pressure adjustment full of Sunoco fuel. Jamie?
And Austin Dillon does not like his car early in a run, but it was getting better. His teammate, as the crew continues to work on the 2. There's Austin Dillon. They went up on the track bar, 4 tires once again. Last stop for Austin Dillon.
Car backing up on the pit lane is Robert Richardson. He will be turning into the Nationwide Series garage right there as James Buescher comes down the pit lane behind him for a stop. Dave?
James Buescher's car, it snaps loose was the latest report for him, so they're going to make adjustments and give him 4 tires as well. Jamie?
And Travis Pastrana's biggest fear coming into this race, a green flag pit stop. He's experiences his first one right now. They're jacking up the left-hand side. 4 tires is the call. He's been doing a great job all night. So has this crew. He's down and away.
99 returning to the track. 88 missed pit road. Cole Witt. Kurt Busch, is he coming to pit lane here? Yes, sir. Race leader. That was Cole Witt missing the pit lane a lap ago.
Yeah, and almost created a big problem for a lot of others around him right here.
4-9 right now. They're low.
Vince, big moment for Kyle Busch Motorsports.
That's exactly right. As Kurt Busch trying to bring home win number 1 for KBM and his brother, Kyle. It's gotten a little bit too snug. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. 4 tires as well for Kurt Busch. This is a 4-tire race all up and down pit road, no doubt about it. Doc?
Kasey Kahne said, I've lost the drive off. I said, I have no drive off. Getting in the throttle, coming up the car loose off. They made a chassis adjustment, slight air pressure, 4 tires, and away.
Kasey Kahne, Sam Hornish, Stephen Wallace on the pit lane. Here's Brian Scott in, Jamie.
Overall, his car is just getting freer on entry in particular. They've been making wedge adjustments tonight. That has been the call. He just wants to get to the end of this race, Alan.
Ryan Blaney also in, Jamie. David?
Yep, Dave will take that. He had been running in the 7th position, Alan. The car very good since he got in clean air. There will be no changes to the car, emphasizing efficiency, but it looks like they had a little trouble getting those left sides finished, Doc.
Here's a reigning champion, Ricky Stenhouse. They will come down pit road. No major changes, only a very slight air pressure change. So the car really has come to him. Car doing better, a little tight in the middle. Just going to put tires on and fill it up with Sunoco fuel. And here comes the leader down from 16th spot on restart all the way to the front, Denny Hamlin from nearby Chesterfield, Virginia. Hamlin said the car free on exit. They're going to make an adjustment. They're going to tighten the car up here for the final 40 laps. Right side tires on, left side tires. A little bit of a hiccup there in the left rear, cost them about a half a second. Sunoco fuel going in, Hamlin away.
The whole exchange of pit stops that we've seen so far that hasn't been finished yet. You see Michael Annett, the leader now, heading to the pit lane, is not going to play to the favor of Kurt Busch by the time it all shakes out.
He waited a little bit longer than Harvick did. Harvick was beating him about 8 or 9 tenths a lap. Almost a second a lap with those new tires for as long as he stayed out.
Yeah, and I was really surprised the 18 car waited as long as he did once all of that started.
There is Elliott Sadler, who's the next one in line behind Kevin Harvick. Dave?
They will make no changes to the 43 car of Michael Annett. Michael told me earlier today, the long runs are where I make my money and not on the short run. It has been a long run. He stayed out, led laps, and now they have a great race car, Alan. We'll see where they come out in the queue here.
All right, Dave, thanks. Right side of the screen, Kurt Busch passing Elliott Sadler for what's going to eventually be second place behind Kevin Harvick. We'll see how the battle of the tires over that long run thing plays out as we go green to the finish. Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski have not stopped yet.
And now that turns into a gamble. They're staying out now, gambling on getting a caution. They're going to be way behind when they make their stop under green. So this is a gamble for them just to stay out and try to get one, get a caution.
There's second place. That's Keselowski. Then another 8 seconds behind him, you'll find Kevin Harvick in third. And 2 seconds further back, Kurt Busch in fourth. Kasey Kahne on fresher tires there, going by Keselowski. Looking back. There's Harvick. He's next in line. He's currently third. And then behind him and trying to close is Kurt Busch there. Danica Patrick in for the final pit stop.
Very, very loose race car, Alan. 4 tire change, Sunoco fuel all the way. They will make big chassis adjustments on this run to try to tighten that car up. She's just been struggling with it. It just snaps loose in every turn.
All right, Dave, thanks. Updating. Penalties on the pit stops for speeding to Travis Pastrana and Cole Whitt. Look at those fresh tires. Kasey Kahne just blowing by Joey Logano. Also, Matt Fromm just got a tag for speeding coming into the pits on his stop.
So now Logano really has to kind of see it through because he's already lost so much time that if he pits under green, he's going to be way, way behind. He'll have to just run these next probably 15 laps or so before he has to come in for fuel.
How's it all going to play out? Do we see the late caution? Does Richmond defy the historic trend? Can Kurt Busch chase down Kevin Harvick and overcome him? We'll see. And the picture continues to evolve at Richmond International Raceway. There is Kurt Busch in the 54 back in the lead. In the last couple of moments, he ran down and passed Kevin Harvick in the 33, then ran down and passed the slowing Joey Logano in the 20, and Kurt Busch is out in front with 27 laps to go. Brad Keselowski with a stop, Vince.
Well, they gambled, staying out, hoping to catch a yellow. Did not. He said he can drive it in, but he's lost the drive off. Made an air pressure adjustment and 4-tire change.
Really as difficult tonight as it's been for Brad Keselowski. They had nothing to lose by taking that gamble.
Now, why not? You know, if they got a caution, it may have worked out.
Joey Logano out on the older tires. Struggling. Also not running the pace he might be able to run, even that said, with the older tires, because of a fuel strategy being played by his team. Doc?
Well, what they were thinking about trying to do, Alan, was basically have him slow down so much they were going to milk the fuel and make it all the way to the checkered flag. But after watching how slow he had to run and how many cars were coming up and going by, he went from the lead down to third. He's about to lose another position here momentarily. So they decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and run hard for 4 or 5 more laps. Then we'll go ahead and come in and put gas in it and take our chances maybe with a late caution flag to get back up there. So they are going to bring him on pit road here momentarily for a final stop.
All right, Doc, so it didn't work out for Logano and company as well so far.
Yeah, he still might catch a caution. Got a few more laps before he has to pit.
6-second swing on the exchange of pit stops in Kevin Harvick's favor. So Liamani was behind Kurt Busch and Liamani was ahead, but Kurt ran him down and has gone by him and is out in front with 23 laps to go. There's the team owner, Kyle Busch, looking on here at Richmond International Raceway. Probably got all his toes crossed inside the shoes too, hoping he can find a way for that car to get to victory lane. The inaugural season of Kyle Busch Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, a somewhat difficult start, but the weeks that they've had off in the month of April have really allowed them to regroup and do some testing, and Kurt Busch right now is pulling away.
Yeah, as much as I'm sure Kyle would love to be in that car and get the first win for his race team, I think there's probably a lot of satisfaction knowing that he's been able to put his brother in this position, who's been through some difficult times since last year also.
Now behind Kurt Busch, it's Denny Hamlin now around Kevin Harvick into second place. So just quicker. Just 14 laps to go. There's Hamlin. Does he have enough time?
He's about a 10th and a half quicker.
A lot of it's going to depend on where both of these drivers catch traffic. It's going to be a matter of does Kurt get held up in some traffic? Can Denny catch him at the right place and get something done? It's going to be very difficult to do.
Like that? You mean traffic?
Yeah. Took care of that one.
That's pretty hard contact.
Yeah, that might hurt. That could hurt his progress a little bit. It looked like it hurt the fender, though.
It's 1.053 seconds last time. Cost him 100th of a second, at least on that lap.
Yeah, that was with the contact.
Yeah.
See if he can regroup and start running down Kurt Busch.
There are third and fourth. Kevin Harvick, 33. Elliott Sadler in 2. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., by the way, running back in 6th position.
Well, I think whatever adjustments they made on Kevin Harvick's car, trying to make it better, really didn't work. They probably hurt it in the shorter run more than what they have helped anything here.
Yeah, the circumstances did not work out in their favor. They needed those cautions to keep coming.
By the way, Jason Bowles, the car that Denny Hamlin had contact with on pit road for a late stop. 10 laps to go.
10 to go right there. 10 outside.
Speeds at the line.
Yeah. Full mile an hour more, faster is Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, that's about 2.5 tenths faster. So he's got it down under a second.
He's there. He's basically there right now.
And in lap traffic.
Which one of y'all were worried about Denny early in the race?
I
I was concerned they waited too long to make their pit stop, but this might have played right into their hands. Obviously, they know what they're doing. And
they got better tires right now.
Yeah, and he's driving the wheels off this thing.
Chesterfield, Virginia, Denny Hamlin's hometown, just up the road from the racetrack here in Richmond. Always special for him when he comes to this racetrack. His charitable foundation had its big charity showdown race here at the track last night.
How crazy would it be? It'd be that 18 car that would keep Kyle Busch from getting their first win and keep Kurt from winning, but Kyle Busch Motorsports.
Wouldn't it be, though?
That's the way this sport works sometimes.
I think Kurt picked it up just a little bit here.
He lost some of that lead in some traffic that he just caught at the wrong place.
Not over yet.
I would bet you that this is more agonizing for Kyle, standing on that pit wall, listening to the radio, watching that car, than it would be if he were behind the wheel watching the 18 close in.
I promise you it is.
Maintain it right now. 6-4.
I've been that owner and that crew chief standing on that box, and it's tough watching that.
Sam Hornish Jr. trying to get fourth from Elliott Sadler. Nice run for the 12, and right behind them, Sadler's rival for the championship, Ricky Stenhouse. Remember, they were only 4 points apart starting the night. Finish ahead of him, you're gaining points.
Yeah, Sadler was right there, looking like he was going to take over that third spot from Kevin Harvick, but his car's gone away here in the last few laps.
Yep.
Kurt Busch in heavy traffic now.
Yeah, this is going to get really interesting right now. You got to make the right moves right here and hope that somebody gives you a break.
Well, but the heavy traffic also, it might allow Denny to catch him, but it limits his room to pass him. You know?
Let him get to that bumper, though.
Yeah. It might open up a door somewhere that he wasn't expecting it also.
Jason Bowles bails out. Leaves the leader's room.
Outside.
Nice move there by the 81.
Good drive off right here by Hamlin.
3 to go. 3 outside 01. Clear.
This is going to be close.
Rotate that line straight off. Outside.
Right here's where Denny Hamlin is so good getting back to the throttle.
Oh, man.
See Kurt Busch driving it in a little bit further, but Hamlin able to get the drive off and close that gap.
Okay, it's just the two of them now, no traffic.
Come into the white flag. Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin.
Oh, he got him loose right there.
Inside. Just hit your marks. White flag. 1-4. 1-4. You guys got nothing out back.
How rough will it get? Can Kurt hang with him? Joe Gibbs Racing's 18 with Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch in brother Kyle's 54. Here they come to the checkered flag. Who's it going to be? Hamlin sliding it sideways. Give it to Kurt Busch. Woo!
What a race.
What a finish.
Woo! Man, what a job by Kurt Busch to hang on the outside there.
That's two great, great drivers showing their talent.
Oh, he runs. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Rick.
Denny gave it every ounce he had.
I'm just sitting here thinking of all the different little stories woven into that one last lap, right? Joe Gibbs Racing versus Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin at home. Kurt Busch. Denny in the mistake earlier, driving all the way back to potentially win it. I mean, so much went into that last lap. But Kyle Busch Motorsports is going to get the trophy. Brother Kurt driving and Kyle looking on, Vince.
Wow. After the mountain you've climbed with this new team, Kyle, how gratifying is it to get your first win here in the Nationwide Series as an owner?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, to have Kurt do it doesn't bother me one bit. That's awesome. Just a great feeling for me, for Samantha, for Grandma at home, for my dad, everybody. This is This is cool. This is really cool. Thanks, Monster Energy, for giving us this chance. Toyota, all these guys at Kyle Busch Motorsports, phenomenal job. This is the most emotional I've ever been for a win. This is cool.
Give us the feeling of the difference between what it's like sitting in the car, driving it in the final laps with the lead, as compared to being the owner standing on the wall, watching your brother do it.
You're hot, you're fired up, you're giving it all you got, and so when you're behind the wheel, it's a lot easier to do than when you're standing here and watching the guy behind you close in on you. Kurt ran him tough. Kurt ran him really tough, and Denny ran us clean. Joe Gibbs Racing's won I don't know how many races in the last 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been, with Denny, myself, and Joey, and all of us. And for the first one for Kyle Busch Motorsports, this is amazing. This is so cool. And I'm not sure how we'll run past this, but I really don't care. Tonight is the night, man. We're going to celebrate this one. This is cool.
Emotional indeed. Well-deserved for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Doc?
Denny Hamlin climbed out of his car here talking to the crew chief. You know, Denny, Joe Gibbs Racing versus Kyle Busch Racing. You guys, you and Kurt Busch. It doesn't get any better than that. Take us through those last couple laps.
Man, I just, I don't know. I don't know what I could have washed, you know, just moved him up and got him out of the groove and been over with. But, you know, Kyle's a teammate, and Rick Wren and those guys have built a great program. So I wanted it to be fair. He won fair and square, and that's we just one lap too late.
Did a heck of a job, Bill. What happened on the pit stop?
Yeah, we waited so long to pit. You know, I made up. First thing is I made a mistake. You know, I didn't hear the guys tell me to count me in, and I missed the pit box and had to go to the rear. But that was a remarkable comeback. You know, I drove for everything I had. I drove qualifying laps for the last 150 laps, and made up a lot of time. I just a few feet short.
150 qualifying laps, and what a finish, Alan, for Denny Hamlin here, closely in second spot.
You heard Denny explain some of it. So much went into that last lap, and the story that was the side-by-side run to the checkered flag at Richmond.
That's what makes this racetrack and these drivers so great to watch.
I think it was inches, not feet, too.
Yeah,
it's close.
But Hamlin has to settle for second. Joe Gibbs Racing as well, as the Busch brothers have teamed up tonight. Kyle Busch Motorsports with brother Kurt behind the wheel, giving the team its first ever victory in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and a hard-fought one at that.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond is brought to you by Carfax. Just say, "Show me the Carfax." Ask your dealer or go to Carfax.com.
A fabulous finish tonight at Richmond with Kurt Busch driving brother Kyle's car into victory lane.
It was a door-banging duel between Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin, and Kurt Busch gets his brother Kyle's team, KBM Motorsports, KBM, into the victory lane for the first time. Wow. How about that battle off turn 4 with Denny? Take us through that.
It was an amazing run for us tonight. I mean, just to be in position after our rough start to this season, but to get KBM its first win, this is unbelievable. For my little brother, this team with Beam and with Wren, all these guys that have been working so hard, it's that love that you have as a family member. And I've driven for guys like Penske and guys like Roush, but when you're driving for a guy named Busch, you got to be on it, and I'm happy to deliver tonight. But unbelievable run with Hamlin. I didn't think he was going to catch us. I was pacing ourselves, and then boom, he just came out of nowhere at the end, and I slipped up going into 3, coming to take the white flag, and I was on the outside at that point. And I had a flashback to an IROC race that I lost here before, where I was on the inside. I said, you know what, I got to hold him down, I got to pinch him a little bit, and it's going to be rough coming off turn 4, and we held off Denny. It's great to race a guy like that, where he's using his head, and we can both rough up our cars, but still finish the race 1-2.
Just a moment before you climbed out of the car, Kyle leaned in, and you guys shared some words. What was that conversation?
he just couldn't believe that we got this car to victory lane. And you could just feel his hand trembling of, I'm an owner, I don't know what to think, but he knows that he could have drove this car today as well. And just got to thank all these guys, Triad Motorsports, with the way the chassis are built, the engine stayed together as we were overheating all day long. And just all the guys, man, this is a great day for Monster Energy and this guy right here. I'm so proud of you. You proud of me? Did I do all right as a driver?
You scared the hell out of me, but you made it happen. That's all that matters.
He told me what to do driving like at lap 40, and I was like, here we go. Yeah. Here's the owner telling the driver
get on the wheel
how to drive. So no, just got to thank Monster and Tag Heuer, our guys at Toyota. This was an unbelievable race, and the fans here nationwide, it's a great series to run, and I'm happy to run here this year, half the season with Kyle.
After what you guys have been through as a team, what Kyle's been through in building this team, what you've experienced in just the second race with this group, what's it say about this team that's been able to do so much in a short period of time and where it's going forward, not just with you in the seat, but with Kyle?
It's just, it's harder than you think on putting a program together. And you think you can come in here and muscle your way to the top, but you have to think your way to the top. And we've got great guys like Mike Beam, Rick Bren, guy named Bondo back at the shop, handling the shop duties, all of the PR department, all the staff, everybody working together. It's tough to win in any national series in NASCAR, and I just got to thank KBM for the opportunity to drive, because you know, this December, January, February has been rough for me, and this is a great way to get back on top and take this car to victory lane.
A family affair in victory lane at Richmond, Alan.
And Denny Hamlin in to congratulate Kurt and talk it through. Well, it was a thrilling finish between those two drivers who were doing a little bench racing there. Denny Hamlin gave it all he could. Missed it by that much. One of the other stories on the night we want to wrap up, the Nationwide Series debut of Travis Pastrana, who climbed aboard a NASCAR Nationwide Series stock car in competition for the first time. Said his goal for the night was to finish on the lead lap. Didn't quite get that, but I thought ran very well competitively.
He did a tremendous job here tonight on a difficult racetrack against excellent race drivers. He did everything. He probably made really one mistake, and that was speeding whenever he left pit road on his green flag pit stop. But a very, very solid night.
Yeah, it was definitely up to my expectation. I've watched him all weekend. I thought he did a great job. And like I said, without that penalty on pit road, he would have had a shot at being well inside the top 20.
Jamie, how's he feel about 25th tonight?
Well, Travis's goal, as you mentioned, Alan, was to finish on the lead lap. That didn't happen, but you didn't crash it, Travis. You finished the race. What would you say was the highlight and perhaps the low light of your night?
Probably passing Keselowski was the highlight. Low light was getting beat by both the girls. But no, it was really cool. It was actually awesome racing with Danica, and her car was really loose in the middle. I was like, I just passed Danica. I think I would have said it on the radio, and then definitely, I think the low light was actually having to go through pit road twice. It's my first pit under a green. Definitely got a little excited, but I expected to do worse. I had hoped to do better. I think we can run top 20. I believe we were in the top 20 for a bit of the race in the middle, and until we had that, or until I messed up the pit area. But I'm happy. The team did really good. They worked with me. Everyone from RAB. Just thank you guys. All my sponsors, Boost, KMC, Samsung. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I know I shot myself in the foot last year, but we're going to get there. It won't be this year we'll be winning, but maybe this year will be top 15s, next year will be top 5s, and hopefully we'll go for wins year after that. I mean, I'm on the long-term program, and hopefully my sponsors stick with me, and we'll see what happens.
Long-term program, we're seeing a different side of Travis Pastrana, very focused. You were really nervous about your first pit stops. You even pitted early tonight. What was it like to make your first stop here in a Nationwide car?
It was cool. I just watching my cousin, Greg. He had worked so hard. He's Special Greg on Nitro Circus, and his whole family's here, which is my whole family. And I just saw him diving over the car. I'm like, all right, Greg, and it was just cool. It's cool. The whole family's here. It's cool. It's close to town. It's cool that everyone that's backed me really feels like family now, because honestly, I've just been sitting at the track doing nothing, hanging out with everybody. So it's just really is a dream come true. And the result's not where I was hoping, but we'll get there. And I think we had a great car, great team, and we'll see what happens next week.
All right, Travis Pastrana will be back in the car in 2 weeks at Darlington. Next week, it is Kenny Wallace that'll be back. Let's go over to Dave Burns.
And your winner tonight, Kurt Busch.
With another debut tonight, Jamie, and that was with Ryan Blaney. A solid top 10 finish, 7th place tonight, and his dad, Dave, of course, watching closely. Felt like it could have been a little more tonight, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, you know, we'll take what we can get here. Our seal wrap, Tommy Baldwin Chevrolet, was real good. Really, we lacked on the initial green flag runs after we made pit stops. That's really where we hurt, and we kind of got hurt on pit road a little bit, got back in dirty air, and we weren't just as good, but you know, after 40 laps, we could really start mowing guys down, and you know, I just can't thank these guys enough from Tommy Baldwin for giving me such a great piece, and we'll go into Darlington and see what we got for him.
Sprint Cup driver Dave Blaney next to you here. How'd the kid do?
Okay, I guess. I don't know. I'm certainly biased, but I don't know as I've ever seen anything like that from the first race from an 18-year-old. Phenomenal all the way around.
He seems so even-keeled. Is that part of what makes him good?
Well, yeah. Honestly, I guess I can stand here and say I wasn't surprised by it. I certainly didn't expect it, but I've seen this kind of thing out of him for a long, long time, and he's just never been, you know, on this stage, I guess, to do something like this. But, you know, man, without the seal wrap guys and everybody, Tommy, Al Heinke, everybody, we wouldn't even have this chance. So, man, great to have it, but he got it done.
Great to see Ryan do so well tonight. Ryan, congrats. We'll hope to see him again very, very soon. Nicole Briscoe.
Best Nationwide Series debut on an oval since Joey Logano at Dover. Well, we're in Richmond tonight, but next weekend it is off to Talladega. A little bit different size track there.
Oh, a lot of fun. These guys are running flat-footed around that racetrack, hard as they can go.
You can join us. Go to 1-866-GO-NASCAR. Tickets available on NASCAR.com/tickets. More post-race coverage from Richmond when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Beautiful in downtown Richmond tonight, and beautiful here at the Richmond International Raceway. And just the beginning of the motorsports coverage on the ESPN networks this weekend. Drag racers are in Houston, the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Spring Nationals. Qualifying is on Saturday, the finals on Sunday. You can see both on ESPN2. And Nicole mentioned a minute ago, next weekend it's on to Talladega for the Nationwide Series. Note the race on ABC 1 week from tomorrow, next Saturday at 3 Eastern Time. If you think the finish tonight was fantastic, what's it going to be like at Talladega next week? They'll be about 5 wide. More post-race coverage, Doc.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming home for a 4th place finish. And Ricky, the words I heard all night long between you and crew chief were drive off. It was good, then it was bad. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we were on both sides of it there. Our Cargo Beef Mustang was really good some parts of the run, other parts not so good. So we needed to kind of merge it all together and get it you know, a little happier throughout the whole run. But we knew we were going to fight that here. Just didn't get it as good as we thought we did in practice. And you know, we'll look over some notes and some past races. I think we've had better cars here, so to battle back and get a top 5 wasn't bad. You know, good points today. Had a lot of fun and passed a lot of cars. Just couldn't get up there and battle those guys for the win.
Good job, man. Now just 2 points back of Elliott Sadler. Guys?
Well, second race for Danica Patrick here at Richmond, and what an improvement it was all the way around, Danica. You finished 21st in front of Travis Pastrana, and he said, darn it, Danica, how would you assess your second time here?
Well, first off, Travis did a really great job. I was really impressed, so he should be really proud of that. For me, I think I had higher hopes, to be honest. We were top 10 in practice all day. We had our best practice, best qualifying on a short track, and then in the race it just was really loose. And so it's a bummer. You know, these are the days where, you know, you hope you can make the most of your good weekend, and these are the weekends where when you don't have great finishes, it's so much work, and you know, the ones where you finish well are the ones that are, you know, more straightforward and, may I say, easier. So earned my pay today, but everybody hung in there, and that's all I can ask. I wish I could have got a better finish for GoDaddy and for the team and for us, because we were having a good weekend, but we'll learn.
Completely different track next week, Talladega. Your thoughts going there?
Well, I've liked the Daytona of the world, so I'm excited to go to Talladega. I'm really excited to see the fans, to be honest. I think I might have to take a super secret golf cart ride around the infield, outfield. I don't even know where they are. But I'm excited about Talladega. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, as you know, places like that, you know, you never know what can happen in the end.
Danica Patrick brings it home 21st.
Kevin Harvick finished 3rd tonight and just debriefing with crew chief Ernie Cope. It seemed like part of the package was definitely there, Kevin. What was missing?
Yeah, we would fall off too fast, and I kind of hinted towards that when Dale Jarrett was talking to me earlier. The car would start to get really tight in the middle of the corner, and I'd have to use a lot of brake and slow it down. And they could just roll the center so much better for longer. And then as the center would go, then you'd have to use the apron, and then it would start to lose the grip up off. But all in all, the fast fixing guys did a great job with our Chevrolet tonight, and we didn't quite pull it off, but we'll keep at it.
I think there's probably a 6 win in there some year. This track was talked about a little bit earlier tonight about changing. Was it any different to you?
It wasn't. It was pretty consistent as we went through the night for the most part. We went through the runs, and the track stayed pretty much the same for us from the start of the race to the end. And even from practice, it wasn't that much different. We just didn't expect our car to fall off that much and get that tight in the center of the corner.
Thanks, Kevin. Third place tonight.
Sam Hornish, an impressive top 5 finish. And Sam, I know you had a good car all night, but you were battling some issues early on. I kept hearing you talk about a vibration.
Yeah, we started having some brake vibration from about lap 2 or 3, and we did everything that I could do from inside the car to be able to battle that. But as the night went on, it continued to get a little bit better, but just not ever to the point where it was all the way out of it. And as push that you have in the car. So, but the big thing that saved us tonight is the guys in the on the Worth Dodge. They did a really good job in the pits and gave us good pit stops. We picked up 2 or 3 spots every time we came in, and just really happy for what those guys were able to do for us, and just really glad to be able to continue to be out here, be part of the Nationwide Series, and Nationwide Insurance for sponsoring this series.
Hey, well done, bud.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sam Hornish finishes 5th.
Doc, thanks. And Travis Pastrana still out there meeting some of the fans. I think that's one of the things he said it was his goal when he came to NASCAR, was he'd sign every autograph that wanted to be signed. And he's out there on the grandstand side of that catch fence, by the way, making good on that promise. So many stories to talk about as we wrap up this race. First, let's touch on the Nationwide Series Championship. Stenhouse finished a couple of spots ahead of Sadler, so it's oh so close as they head to Talladega next week. And that's one great story that we'll look ahead on. Another great story, Ryan Truex. Just heard from him a minute ago. What a job.
That's incredible. What we saw Ryan Truex do today, and I know we saw Dave. He was pretty surprised, too. He sat there and watched that race. That was incredible to see how well he did and stayed out of trouble and brought it home for a great top 10 finish.
Yeah, very impressive. And I look inside that top 10. We just talked to Sam Hornish, who did a fantastic job there. Ryan Blaney, that's just incredible. That 18-year-old could do that. And Michael Annett with another solid run in the top 10.
Yeah, great story there. Travis Pastrana, good story on the night. And the finish. Denny Hamlin's comeback from the missed pit stop and the determination to get back to the front. All the dynamics that went into that race and how the finish played out. And, of course, Kyle Busch Motorsports getting the first win. What a night. What a night here in Richmond. Up next, Friday Night Fights presented by Corona Extra. And next week, it's on to Talladega for another fantastic finish. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.